Hello, welcome to Oliver Ray Knits. My name is Tracy and this is episode 7. I'm a maker based in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, and I make all the things, primarily knitting, but I occasionally dabble in sewing, both garments and quilting, sometimes some accessories. I crochet, I do all sorts of needlework such as cross stitch and needlepoint. I like to make all the things, whatever strikes my fancy. Up to this point, though, it's been a lot of knitting, but I do have a few non-knitting objects to share. I really appreciate anybody who stopped here for the first time and especially anyone who's coming back. I'm creating a little community here and I just want to do a special shout out to Liz, who is in Medicine Hat. We are definitely friends, Liz, and I look forward to meeting you in person one day. So, enough chatter. Let's get into the finished objects. So, first of all, what am I wearing? Well, this is, I have notes today. Just bear with me. All right, this is the Inner Beauty cardigan by Knit Collage. It was one of the patterns and kits available in their 2022 fall make-along. I purchased 2 kits and I've shown the first cardigan I made in episode 1, and then I had a picture of it in episode 6 as well. So this is the Inner Beauty cardigan. I made the second size in the pattern, and the kit came with 6 balls of Spun Cloud, which is this sparkly charcoal gray-black color. And then I also purchased with the kit a mini skein sampler of all these other yarns as well. The really interesting thing about this sweater is that the color work is inside out. So this is the part that usually shows, not the ends, but the knit stitches usually show on the outside of a garment. But for this garment, the purl bumps, the underside of the color work is what you see. The 5 different yarns that I've used here are, right at the bottom is Wildflower. It's a fabric ribbon made from discarded fabrics or old saris, something like that. And then let's see here, we have Dreamland, this blue right here. It's got sparkles and a little bit of different fibers woven into it. And then we have Castaway, which I don't know, I almost think it looks like dreadlocks. Maybe that's why it's called Castaway. And then we have Daisy Chain. Is that right? I'm sorry, actually Daisy Chain is this one, blue one right on the bottom because it has the daisy in it. So then we have more Castaway and then, yeah, Spun Cloud. So yeah, it was a really fun garment. Okay, I love the finished object. I did not enjoy the process, so that was a lie. It wasn't fun. This yarn is very heavy and I had to use big knitting needles. You do the color work with a 12 millimeter knitting needle, US 17, and then the body is made using a 10 millimeter knitting needle, US 15, and then you go down to a 9 millimeter for the cuffs and the hem and the collar. So it's got a shawl collar. It goes around. And then I made it a little bit longer. I added an extra repeat. I haven't put any buttons on it yet. I think I've got room for 5 buttons on here, buttonholes. It is really cute. I love the finished object, but I found it to be a bit of a slog. I had trouble with the color work. I had to redo it a couple of times, and then I ended up putting stitch markers in so I could figure out what section I was in. I had a really hard time reading this yarn because it's so thick and thin, very bobbly, and so that was a bit of an issue. And then the yarn itself is very heavy, and I found that after working on it for a little while, my hands started to really hurt. A couple of years ago, I decided I wanted to learn how to snowboard, and snowboard is very dangerous. And you get prone to hurting yourself. So I was snowboarding and swishing down, and I kept falling. And one of my last runs, I fell and right like this. So I sprained this thumb, and even now, 4 or 5 years later, it still hurts a lot, especially when I am doing a lot of knitting or if I'm not holding my yarn properly or if I'm using heavy yarn. So that was a bit of a challenge as well. Also, I did the sleeves inside out once because I forgot that this color work was inside out, and so I had to redo those. However, I am so happy with the finished object. I don't think I'll be doing another knit collage pattern because it was an expensive kit to purchase, but I'm really glad that I've done these two. And I think especially once I have some buttons on there, it's going to be so cute. So yeah, I did have to extend it because it did come up a bit short, but I think sometimes that is the nature of these kind of cardigans. They're kind of cropped and cute. So I do feel very cute in this. All right, I have a whole bunch of finished objects, 5 in total. So the next one is one that I've showed here on the channel before. And this is one of the other reasons why my hands and thumb were really sore. I was knitting so hard and so fast. I just wanted to get all of the things done. And I kind of reminding myself that maybe I have to slow down and I don't have to do all the things. But having this channel, I want to make content for it. So sometimes I push myself a little more than I should. So I will be careful about that in the future. But this is the Wake and Wave shawl. The designer is Carissa Browning, and yeah, it was such a pleasurable knit. It's covered me. It had so many different things to keep you interested. So there are, let's see, this is the bottom. So you start with a garter stitch tab, and then you do eyelets, stripes, a welt, feather and fan stitch, more eyelets, brioche, and then short rows. And then you repeat that through. And I did 3 full repeats of everything. This is the medium size. And I use 3.25 millimeter needles, US 3. And I use 3 colors. First 2, the light gray and the dark gray, are from Sea Change Fibres. They are in California, Northern California, I think. This is their Ecola fine base, and it's 85% merino and 15% silk. It's considered a light fingering. And the color is, let's see, the light gray is driftwood, and then the dark gray is tarnished silver. And I just think it's so cute. It's kind of a neat shaped shawl. This is kind of the starting edge here, and it is a little bit tight, but it kind of makes a cute little crescent shape. And let's see how it works. Yeah, it's really cute. Let's make sure this is the right way. Yeah, I'm really happy with it. I kind of really focused on my numbers and tried to make sure that I had the exact numbers to the pattern, but towards the end, I was just going willy-nilly and making the pattern up as I went, and I really like it. So, yeah. So that is my Wake and Wave shawl by Carissa Browning. All right, let's do a wardrobe change. My next finished object is another sweater. It's not a cardigan, it is a pullover, and it is the Barren Land sweater. Right, I've used knitted in yarn and by Honorak Air in the Brigged and Veganham color. So this is kind of a reddish brown. It's got so many different shades in it, a little bit orange, some darker reds. And then Veganham is this beigey gray color. And I just think they work together. It's a little bit cropped. Well, maybe not a little bit. Maybe not cropped at all. I think I might have made it a little bit longer. I think I definitely have done back roofs, but sometimes it's so hard to tell with these round yoke patterns that without short rows on top. I don't know. It's got really good length of sleeves. I probably extended those a little bit because I really have very long arms. And yeah, I wore this for the first time yesterday, just hanging around home, and I found it a little bit itchy when I first put it on. And I thought, oh no, I have all this knitting yarn. This is the first garment I've ever made out of it. I did finish a shawl and a pair of mittens, but what am I going to do with all this yarn if I can't wear it? And what I found is the more I went through the day and maybe my skin warmed up and the fibers relaxed, it's not itchy at all. It actually feels really comfortable and it is very warm. And yeah, I'm really, really happy with it. So that is my third finished object. I just been knitting up a storm. All right, the last one is one that I have not talked about on the channel before. This is the Ambershore Shawl, and this is a pattern by what's her name? Inez Sang. And this is something I cast on for a trip that we made to Palm Springs earlier this month. Yeah, in March. And I used 3 yarns, 2 of them. This variegated color is called, oh, did I not write it down? Oh, yes, Outlander, and the green gray color is called Bewitched. And that is a sock yarn called Footsie, 80/20 BFL nylon from Vine Yarns. Kristen is located in New York State. And then I purchased this on one of her updates. Her yarns sell out really fast. Her colors are just fantastic. I decided I needed to do something that was fairly easy for my trip, that was quite portable, and then I needed a third yarn to pair with it. And I had this color in my stash as well. It's called Daylily Sock from Lily and Pine. They are an Alberta yarn dyer. I think they're in Calgary, actually. And it's 80/20 superwash merino and nylon. I used 3.5 millimeter needles for the color work. So it's sort of 1 by 1 color work, and then it switches to 1 and 3. And then 3 millimeters for the rest, the stocking stitch and I think in the baubles as well. The baubles were so fun. It was a different kind of pattern than what I'm used to for making baubles and using a crochet hook. And I really enjoyed doing it. I've been working with a lot of really rustic yarns lately, and I realized that I actually kind of prefer them. When I was working on this shawl, this yarn felt a little bit plasticky, but it blocked out really well. And I think it's a really pretty shawl. It's kind of a different shape, almost like I don't know. I don't know what kind of shawl this is. It has quite a big wingspan on it. I probably will end up, I don't know, folding this part over, maybe wearing it like this. I don't know. Again, I think I've talked about this before, that I am not very good at putting on shawls. But I think it's so pretty. I love baubles. Give me a bauble in any pattern and I will be happy with it. And I think it's really pretty. Those could look like sheep. I can't believe how well this yarn paired with the other ones. This is a speckled yarn from Lily and Pine, and this Outlander color from Kristen has all these purples and orange, brown, blue, and greens in it. And then this is kind of the same color green in this green yarn that is in here. But this speckled yarn, which I bought at a completely different time and not thinking, I don't even think I had this yarn first, also has the green and turquoise, purple, a little bit of black. It's like I bought it all together. So I'm quite happy with that. Let's put it the right way. But yeah. So that is my fourth finished object. And my last one is actually holding one of my whips. Let me just take that out of there. This is something that I showed last time, and this is it was a mystery project, a sewing project. I used to sew quite a bit, but I really kind of ran out of time. But I was tootling around on Instagram one day, and one of the people that I follow does a lot of quilting and hand quilting. So this right here, this is called English paper piecing, where you take some yarn and you fold it around a shape. And one of the most common types of English paper piecing is the hexagon shape. So there are these 6 little hexagons. I use the same fabrics on this to make the quilt strips, which you sew them all together and then you attach it to a foam type product and then you quilt and then you do the side panels and you quilt those and then you sew it all together and add the embellishments and then you do an inside. Isn't that cute? I actually sort of screwed up because I thought this fabric, this really pretty one right here, would be more obvious, more visible in the finished project, but it's kind of hidden by these gingham panels. But this is a coordinating fabric on the sides. So I wish I would have used this one as the pockets instead, but oh well, I still think it looks so cute. And yeah, it's got, let's see, 3 little pockets on this side and then 2 bigger ones on this. And I think that it is just going to be really handy to house my little projects, to come downstairs with me when I leave my craft lair. And it's so cute, hey? It's got these little handles. So I will definitely make more things using this type of, I don't know if I'll actually make this exact bucket again, but I will definitely do more quilting projects. And that's something that I will talk about towards the end of the episode. So 5 finished objects. Are you keeping track? All right. So yes, I have been finishing all the things and I had to take a little bit of a break because my hands hurt so bad after finishing the Inner Beauty cardigan that I decided to work on something else. So this is one of my works in progress and it is a kit. And it's a cross-stitch kit by Junebug and Darlin that I bought at a local yarn store called Stash Lounge. Actually, they're more than just a yarn store. They have a lot of craft items as well. So they have things for felting and for spinning and stitchery kits. So I bought this because, if you can see there, knitter. And that's me. I am knitter with a capital K. So this kit comes with a ton of stuff. Embroidery hoop, the pattern, the cloth for the embroidery, tapestry needles, embroidery floss, and then it has materials for finishing it as well. So there's batting for the framing and felt to cover all your stitching in the back. So this is where I'm at. I just found that, so I've kind of almost completed the top half of it. You can just see the very edge of knit right there, the K and then the N and iter. And then I'm going to be doing the rest of it. I really enjoy this, but it isn't knitting. And I took this to work with me one night to work on my break and I was lonely from my knitting. So I don't know what's happened to me. I used to like to do other things and I still do, but knitting is my love. I have other loves, my husband and my dogs and my daughter, but as far as crafts go, knitting is my first love. So this is something that I'm going to be picking up. It is kind of portable. Hoop is a bit big, but I think it's going to look really cute up on the wall when it's done. And put it there. I don't know. I'll do something with it. It's just kind of one of those things that I can pick up and put down as I choose. Now, I do have 2, let's see. Oh my, I have 3 works in progress. I actually have a few other ones, but they're in hibernation right now. This is the one that I picked up on my second night of my shifts after I realized that cross stitch was not going to satisfy my making need for the night. So I decided to come very late to the Lento party, and this looks really, really small, but I think it's going to fit. I am not swatching. I decided not to swatch. And what this is a pattern. I think most people know about it. There were a few knit-alongs recently. I just couldn't get things together to join the knit-alongs. So I just downloaded this pattern and I started it. I've changed the way the raglans are. I've done make one right and make one left, and then 2 stitches in between. It's different from the pattern. And what I've decided to do, because this is from Fairly Deep Stash, I bought this yarn. It is called House Decay from House of Alamode. And I purchased this on a trip to New York City with my family. Oh, probably back in 2018. And I made a little pilgrimage out to Brooklyn General Store and I bought this yarn as well as the second one. And it is such a glorious, glorious bubblegum pink. The actual color is called bubblegum. So I kept calling it, oh, this bubblegum pink, but the color name actually is bubblegum. I have quite a bit of it. I have well over 1,000 yards. So I think it's going to be plenty for a Lento. I've paired the collars, cuff and hem. I'm going to do just straight DK, but I've added this mohair. That was also a souvenir yarn I purchased on a trip my husband and I took to Sonoma. We stopped on the way back at a store called Firebird Yarns in San Francisco on the Haight-Ashbury. And it looks very different. It was very, very pink in the skein. And then when I caked it up, it looks more rainbow. And I think it really looks very rainbowish on the garment as well. So this is about, I don't know, about maybe 6 hours of knitting. So I think it's going to knit up fairly quickly. I did do a folded brim with a provisional cast on. I can't remember whose pattern or whose instructions I used for the provisional cast on, but I cast on directly to a circular needle and then folded it over, switched to my bigger knitting needles and knit the two edges together. And it's very stretchy and I can't put it over my head. So we'll see what happens. I think I have about 15 stitches per 4 inches right now. Actually, that's not true. I think right now when I measured it was 15 stitches per inch, but this is superwash yarn. Let's see, 100% merino, I think. Yes, 100% superwash merino. And then the mohair, of course, is blended with silk. And I think it will grow a little bit once I wash and block it. So we'll see. I'm okay with frogging it. This is just something I needed to keep my fingers busy. I am going to have to get different 6.5 or let's see, 6 millimeter needles is what I'm using for the body. And these are 4-inch tips interchangeables. And I don't know, I think I just need a longer needle. It doesn't slide as easily as I would like it to. So I think maybe I'm going to go to my local yarn store and buy different needles because I don't want to hurt my thumb anymore and have sore hands. But I think it's going to be really cute. I don't know. Maybe I should have just made a small one and made it into a little kid sweater, but I don't have any little kids in my life. Any little girl kids anyway. Not that only girls can wear pink, but it is very a feminine garment. So we'll see. I think it'll be really cute when it's done. And just something to keep my fingers busy. Let's see, the other finished object, oh, I put it over here, is one that I talked about last time. And this is the Aurelia sweater, and it is a pattern by Sari Nordland. And I had to restart it because I lost track. I'm really terrible at taking notes and I forgot where I was. And so I just started over again. And so this pattern, you start at the back and you do a section and then you do backwards cast on and you pick up the front and then you start knitting in the round. So I made pretty good progress considering I just restarted it this week. And yeah, I think it's going to be really pretty. The yarn is very rustic. It is from Arpenscope Manor in the UK. It's Portland wool, which when I was looking them up online, they were completely out of stock. You have to go to one of their stores that sells their product to buy some. And it said Portland slash Black Welsh sheep. Well, I don't think there's any Black Welsh. This is probably 100% Portland, but yeah, I wanted to look up exactly what the sheep look like, and I'll put pictures up because they're really, really sweet sheep. The Portland is a white sheep, I guess, and has these beautiful curly horns, and then the Black Welsh sheep is black. So they may come in different colors, but those are just the images that I found when I was looking online. So that is my second work in progress. I'm trying not to have too many knitting things because I really want to get a whole lot finished by the end of March. But one last thing, I took off the collar and the button band of this sweater. This is The Little Dude by Andrea Rangel. And I talked about all my Cowichan inspired sweaters. I think it was episode 5. And I had used some yarn doubled in order to make the collar and the button band because I ran out of the 2-ply custom woolen mills. And because we weren't buying yarn, I couldn't buy more. So I think I probably, well, I don't know if I'm going to buy more, but what I'm going to do right now is I had originally used Vichy Bouche Le Petit Lambswool doubled for the collar and the button band, but I felt like it was too floppy and I needed something with a bit more structure. And I have a ton of this. Is this the right one? This is more Armscote Manor. I have a ton of it, probably, I don't know, 800 grams, and I don't think I'm going to use nearly that much in my Aurelia pullover. So I'm just going to double that with the Le Petit Lambswool and see if that's going to work. Failing that, I might just have to wait until I can buy more 2-ply, but I think this might work. This is for my friend Jody's twins. This is the first one. And I wanted to make one and have them both tried on and see, first of all, if it fit, and then secondly, if they would even like to put it on. So I don't know, they may not wear it a lot. The yarn maybe is a bit scratchy for a little person, but I think that it will be, they look really, really cute on. I'm going to put some pictures up. The boys did kind of find it a bit scratchy, but I think they'll be really nice for their annual family pictures in the fall. And yeah, I'm really happy to make something for them. So that is everything that I'm working on right now. Yeah, is that right? No, that's kind of a lie. I do have some other things that I'm working on and some future projects. I think for the month of April, I'm really going to limit my knitting projects because I find I spend so much time knitting that I don't leave myself time to do anything else. And I do have a lot of interests. I do work out. I always find time to work out a few times a week. And of course I work and just taking care of the house and cooking. My husband is wonderful. He's become a little bit of a house husband in the last couple of years, but I just find there's so many things I want to do. And now that it's getting a little bit lighter outside, hopefully the weather will warm up. We just got a great big dump of snow. I think I would like to take some time and focus on my non-knitting objects. So I have a few things here, one of which I've kind of started, but not really. This is a pattern that I purchased at my local fabric store. It's a quilting store, but they have some other things as well. And it's called Celtic Crossing 2.0. Everything's 2.0. And it is a quilt pattern, and it comes with instructions for 3 different sizes. So I've got a baby, a square throw, a large throw, and then a queen size quilt. So I'm going to make the large throw, and I'm using these fabrics. This is actually one of the quilt squares. I didn't put this together right, but I'm going to use white fabric. And then this is fabric that I purchased on a trip to Maui last spring. My husband and I went there to celebrate our 50th birthdays and our 20th wedding anniversary. And I bought all these batik fabrics. And I've washed them all and I've cut them squares for my quilt. So that's why I kind of think it is a work in progress. But I have all these colors and they're kind of a rainbow colors. And I think what I'm going to do is a little bit of a spectrum. So I'll start with the reds and then go into the oranges and yellows. And at one point I did have them all laid out, but maybe not anymore. So yeah, that's what it's going to look like. You start making individual quilt squares. I think maybe this one should have like a different color on it because they all fit together. And yeah, it's kind of fun, something a little bit different. I do like doing things with my hands, and this is machine knitting, but machine knitting. It is not machine knitting. It is machine sewing. So I've got that I'm working on, and I think I'd really like to get that done this spring. The other thing that I would like to make time to do is make a project bag. And I was really kind of inspired to, try some projects bags. There's a maker, a YouTube channel that I follow called Edible Knits Makes, something like that. I'll put a link down below and maybe her name on the screen. And she makes all of her own project bags. She does not sell the patterns and she does not sell the projects bags. They are all specifically for her and they are lovely. So I went to my local fabric store and I was looking specifically for a pattern to make myself some project bags. And I found a free pattern. And what you had to do, the company is called Emmeline Knits, and I'll have to put a bigger picture up, but it makes these little project bags. They're called, let's see, the retreat bag, and they have a small one and then a bigger one. And you get the pattern when you purchase this wire frame. So these wires hold the frame in place. You can open it up all the way. And I think it's going to make a really, really cute bag. I got these fabrics. This is a canvas and it's really pretty. It's from Rifle Paper Company. Are they still called Paper Company even if they have fabrics? But they're Rifle Paper Company. That's for the outer part of the bag, and then the lining will be this, also Rifle Paper Company, and it is a quilting cotton, and it's so soft, and I think it's going to be really cute. I have a green zipper to go with it, and I think it's going to be just something a little different, something, maybe to give my hands a break because I am getting sore hands from knitting, and I don't want to cause problems later. Arthritis and all that good stuff that comes with aging. So those are my future plans for not knitting. I will always have more projects on needles. I'm not going to lie about that because it's just inevitable. I love to knit so much and it's just so easy to carry with me. So yes, I'm always going to have knitting projects on the go. I have made some purchases. I did enact the Canadian wool and maker clause, and I purchased from my friend Brittany at Crux Fibres in the Yukon. She's located in Whitehorse, and I think I should put a map in because for some reason I thought that Yukon was above Alberta, but it's actually more above BC and it's nestled up against Alaska for American viewers. So anyway, I apologize for misspeaking about that, but she is so passionate about yarn. You really have to go check out her channel. I'll put a link below. She and I and some other YouTubers are a part of a group, including the Nitty Stew, and she is teaching us so much about different kinds of yarn, about the importance of promoting and using Canadian wool, and she's just very inspiring. She dyes yarn, she spins yarn, and then she also sources Canadian yarns from different parts of the country. And she had a recent launch of her low mileage wool. She purchased, I can't remember the name of it, but the trim of a flock here in Alberta, and she sent it to a mill and had it spun, and she is selling some of the yarn as kits. Some are fingering weight, some are decal weight, and she will explain it so much better than I can, but I'm really excited about that. This is not the low mileage wool, but I will have that kit later. It's to make a Find Your Fade shawl by Andrew and Mallory, and I can't wait. I feel like it's going to be a little piece of heaven in my hands, and that will definitely be cast on right away. But what I purchased is, let's see, where did I put it? Oh, so Brittany is Crux Fiber. This is her label. And this is yarn. It's a 100% Alberta Clune Forest wool. And there was a yarn store that was here in southern Alberta that closed down, and they had their own wool. And I think Brittany was able to purchase that wool from them and dye it, and now she's selling it on her own. And it's a very rustic wool. It is DK weight, and it's got a beautiful twist on it. Brittany, I'm not doing any of your work justice because I'm not explaining it properly, but I think this is going to make a really cute hat, a toque, or mittens, or maybe even socks. I just think it's such a pretty color. Doesn't really do much for my coloring, so maybe it'll have to be a pair of mittens. I also purchased some of her unspun yarn. And if you've heard me wax on about Nutiden, well, I don't know. This might be even better than Nutiden. Sorry for the crinkling. But I bought 4 plates of her unspun yarn. This comes from a mill in PEI called Casland, I think. And it is this kind of dark gray-brown color. And look, it's bigger than my head. Yeah. And I have 4 of them. Each are 100 grams, and I'm going to make some sort of pullover with them. So I've got that, and then she included this little ball of sunshine. Isn't it so cute? It smells so good, and it's so perfect. It's just a little gem. I think what I'd like to do is make the sweater out of this, and then maybe, do a little bit of duplicate stitch to make a heart or something on it, just so I can keep this with me all the time. I did get another type of yarn from her as well, if I can find it amidst all my goodies down here. And it is a mohair. Oh my goodness. Oh, here it is. This is Brittany's mohair. Now, I will be transparent. Brittany told me this is not sourced in Canada, but I don't care. It's still from Brittany. I'm still supporting her, and I think it's so pretty. The colorway is called Ptarmigan. This is her hand-dyed yarn. And what I think I'd like to do is use some of my Nutiden. This is not Nutiden, but maybe hold it double with my Nutiden and make a pullover. And it's here. This is, did I call it mohair? It is not mohair. It is 75% baby Surrey alpaca and 25% silk and 100% luscious. This stuff is like, I don't know, whipped cream. It's a little thicker than silk mohair, but I think it's going to pair really well. It looks so nice with the natural color not showing up very well at all. So yeah, I think it's really pretty. So yeah, I did use the Canadian wool and maker's clause. I really think I might have to have another clause. I have to talk to the Nitty Stew about this, but Nutiden is having an update on March 17th for the spring equinox, and one of their colors is so stunning that it just has to come and live with me. So yeah, I guess the whole purpose of the Bust My Balls challenge was not to never purchase yarn. It was to really be more conscientious with purchasing yarn and only buy things that are really meaningful to me. And Canadian wool, especially Brittany's wool, because she's become a friend, and Nutiden is just such a special yarn that I think those are things that I will always be buying within reason. I don't need to buy everything. And I'm not saying I won't buy other kinds of yarn, but I really want to focus on Canadian yarns this year and Canadian makers. I think we're toying around a little bit with the idea of having a Canadian maker, or we'll make along between a few of us YouTubers, but we'll let you know about that at a future time. The one thing I'd like to encourage you to do is maybe try a different craft in April. Maybe come along with me and set aside your knitting just for a couple of minutes and try something different, because you never know what you're going to enjoy. And maybe, by focusing totally on knitting, that you're not giving yourself a chance to try other things. So I don't know. I'm not creating any kind of make along. I don't know. Maybe I will. I'll talk about that later. But yeah, just try something new and try some Canadian wool, because it's really special and we're really excited to use it, and we want everybody to be using it. So that is kind of all the maker talk that I have. I would like to talk a little bit about what we been doing in March, my husband and daughter and I decided to take a little getaway right at the end of February, and we went to Palm Springs. Now, Palm Springs is pretty much lovely all the time, but there was just a terrible weather pattern in all of it seemed like everywhere when we were down there. We had 2 days of sun. I went down the second day, and the first day they got to lay out by the pool and enjoy all the sunshine. And then the second day when I arrived, we got to go walk around in the warmth and enjoy the sunshine. And then that night, the wind came up, and yeah, it definitely wasn't quite the same. The third day that we were there, it was very windy and there were wind warnings, and we were a little afraid to leave our hotel room thinking it was kind of apocalyptic weather. We looked all around us to see if there's other places we could go so we could do things, and everywhere's like, stay home, stay home. And then we went out and decided just to go to a movie, and we're like, oh, we have worse winds at home. But for them, it was kind of crazy. The next day, the rains came, and we had quite a bit of rain for the rest of the trip with a little bit of sunshine. But one of the things we did was make a little day trip to a place called the Salton Sea. And I've done a little bit of research about it. My daughter is a biology student at UBC, and one of her profs had told her about a research trip he did to the Salton Sea. It's about an hour west of Palm Springs. I've never heard of it before, but we decided to take a drive out of there. We had rented a car, and let's see what I wrote about it. So it is an inland sea. It's not necessarily a natural occurrence. It's a highly salinated body of water. It was formed from an inflow of water from the Colorado River. It was the flood water which breached an irrigation canal that was being constructed in the early 1900s. And this sea was formed in kind of the Salton Basin, which became the Salton Sea, from this breach of water. And it is 525 square miles. So it is big. It is really big. It has tides, and it's very, very impressive. It is highly salinated. It has more salt in it than the Atlantic Ocean, probably any ocean at this point. I think I read somewhere it was 70% salination. And there's no outlet for any water. The only outlet is through evaporation. It is fed by some agriculture runoff. So there is some toxicity there from fertilizers and other things from agriculture. And of course, the salt means that the increasing salinity means that fewer and fewer life forms are able to survive in that kind of environment. So it is a little bit of an ecological disaster, I found on one website. My daughter's prof was there to study a specific type of fish. I don't know if that fish is still in the sea or not anymore. But anyway, there's a little former resort town called Bombay Beach. It is mostly abandoned now. There are some people that still live there. It's very small. There aren't really any services. There's a small convenience store. There's a restaurant. It's located right on the water, right on the beach. And one of the really interesting things about it is there's a whole art installation. I think there's a yearly celebration of the art installation right on the beach. I will put some photos and some footage if I have it on here. And it's kind of fascinating. These homes, the people that do live there have kind of pieced their homes together. Some of them are mobile homes, and pieced together with bits and pieces that I don't know where they find them all. And there's bright colors, and some are ramshackle, and some are really well kept and have these beautiful gardens. This whole area is in the desert, which is so fascinating, and it was kind of neat to see. The art installation is just something. It's very otherworldly. It would be very spooky to see at night. We also had lunch at a place called the Ski Inn. It was a kind of a diner, a dive bar, famously visited by the great Anthony Bourdain, and that is one of their claims to fame. It is a dive bar. little greasy spoon. We got burgers and tater tots. My husband and daughter got fish and chips. I had to have a beer. And it was just really fun. The entire inside, the walls and ceiling, and maybe some of the floor is covered with dollar bills from every part of the world. So obviously not everywhere is a dollar, but all these bills, and they have the name and the date that people visited. And it's kind of neat to look at all the different currencies that are there. We went a little bit further after that and went to see something called Salvation Island. It was about another half an hour away. And I thought it was a rock formation that had been painted by an artist. And it is not. It is completely man-made. Originally, I don't know the exact date. Oh, yes, I do. 1984. It was built using kind of chicken wire and concrete and painted with donated paint. This artist, his name was Leonard Knight. He was a Korean War vet, sort of had a religious awakening, and he started to build this monument using largely found and donated materials to make this huge, huge installment. And it's 50 feet high by 150 feet wide. So it is massive. I will put some pictures and footage about it. It actually tumbled down in the 90s, I think, and then it was rebuilt using local adobe clay. And he built it as a tribute to God. I think he spent a total of 30 years working on it, largely by himself, in solitude. And his message is God is love. So it's just kind of amazing. There's all these abandoned vehicles around it, which are also brightly painted and have all these messages on them, these words and Bible verses. And I think one of the things he wanted to promote is the sinner's prayer. I don't know a whole lot about that, but it's really, really fascinating. The other thing we did was go to something called the Riverside County Fair and National Date Festival. I love dates. I love them. Kind of fresh dates. You stuff them with a little bit of almond butter, or you make them into date squares, or you wrap them in bacon. If you haven't tried that yet, you must try that. It's delicious. I was really excited to see the dates. And then the county fair, well, farm animals. So I was kind of excited to see maybe some sheep. And I heard there were llamas or alpacas, so I wanted to see them. There were no llamas or alpacas or sheep. There were goats, though, and they were adorable. They were mostly mostly grown goats. A few of them were pregnant and a few had babies. And there was this one really charming little kid who was using his mom as a trampoline. He kept climbing onto his mom's belly back and jumping off her, and he just was doing it over and over again. I really wanted to record it so I could put it up on here, but everybody was just charmed by him jumping around on his mommy. There were some pigs as well. Not so big a fan of pigs. The saddest part is there were hardly any dates. There was one display of people that had submitted their dates for evaluation, and then one sad little cooler with a few dates in it. And yeah, I was very disappointed about that. It was a rainy day and I maybe wasn't feeling my best, but yeah, if you have a national date festival, give us more dates. A little PSA. Remember that, Riverside, California. There were a lot of other carnival things, all the rides and the games and all the carnival foods, but yeah, I needed dates. The other thing I got to do earlier this month was reconnect with a really good friend, Jody. She is the one that I made the little sweater for her twin boys, and they were able to join me at my home in Fernie. I was a little apprehensive because I don't spend a lot of time with children. My job is with babies, and I spend time with dogs. Twin boys, 6-year-olds, are so much fun. I drove down to Fernie and met them there, and while their mom was making some dinner for us, I decided to take them for a little walk outside, and we didn't even make it really around the block. Bernie had a large dump of snow lately, and the boys just wanted to climb up on the snowbanks and jump off them. And I was a little worried that something would happen because, we all know that we're not allowed to play in the streets, and they were jumping into the streets. I was really careful to watch for traffic, don't worry. It was so much fun. We rented some snowshoes and went snowshoeing, and we ate the wonderful food that Jody made for us. And Timmy and Teddy just had fun, reading their books and playing with toys. We played hide and seek in our house. We built a snowman, and it was just such a wonderful time to reconnect with a really good friend. We hardly turned on the TV. We just sat and visited for hours and hours. And I'm so happy that they were able to come down when they're with me. So yeah, it was really fun. The rest of the time, I've just been working and working on projects. So that's really not that exciting. It is very cold here right now. We had a whole lot of snow, and I think winter's around for a little bit longer. Hopefully at some point we will get spring, and I'm looking forward to that because we're having some yard work done, and I want that to be done so I can enjoy being outside. So that's everything I need to talk about today, or I want to talk about. I really hope that you enjoyed what I had to share, and that you're making time for yourself to knit or make things or whatever you feel you want to do. Because, of course, we're all adults. We can do whatever we want. And yeah, and you're happy and enjoying time with your families and everything. So thank you so much for stopping by today, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.